Hi there, this is Brad with That Damn Nerd, and on today's episode we're going to talk about software defined radio, or SDR, what you can do with it, what it is, and how you can adapt it for your life as a ham, as a scanner, or just as a tech enthusiast. Stick around, it's going to be a great episode. So first and foremost, everyone's big question is, what the heck is software-defined radio, or SDR? So software-defined radio is basically a piece of hardware that you have. Generally, it's a USB stick about this big. I have a couple we're going to look at in this video today. But usually it's a piece of hardware that you will drive with a piece of software. Namely, there's SDR Trunk, SDR Angel, SDR Sharp, SDR++ are a few. Just to name a couple, there's way more that you can get your hands on that will allow you to harness the full power of whatever hardware you're using. And they come in various different shapes and sizes. Now, what can you use them for? Well, in the hobbyist community, they've been using them for a lot within the last couple of years. Everything from custom-made spectrum analyzers all the way down to downloading images from weather satellites in space. We're going to talk a little bit about all of that. We're going to graze over everything. We're not going to stick on one particular subject today, but we're going to talk about some of the stuff that you can do. So first and foremost, how do you get your hands on an SDR? Well, Nooelec sells a few different versions. There's this one here, which is not actually by Nooelec. This is the RTL-SDR 2832 chipset. And this is the Generation 3 RTL-SDR. Primarily, this works really, really well between 25 megahertz and 1.3 gigahertz, anything more than that. And it's not really that good at harnessing it. It does not use a common connector. It uses what's called an MCX. So you have to have a special little connector. This is an MCX to coaxial F connector, just a normal like screw-on F connector. And they come in various different shapes, sizes, flavors, kind of like pretty much like everything else in life. My recommendation is, if you're going to get into the hobby, it is somewhat of an expensive hobby if you're a tinkerer, primarily because you will need to fill yourself up with adapters and filters and a million other things. But to get started, realistically, the only thing you need is a good indoor or outdoor antenna and one of these bad boys. So let's talk a little bit about what you can actually do with an RTL-SDR. You can do an insane amount of things with these. Everything from track aircraft to, as I had alluded to earlier, download images from weather satellites hundreds and hundreds of miles, if not thousands of miles, orbiting in space. One technology that I want to talk about is called ADS-B. And you can actually track airplanes, in some cases between 250 to 500 miles away from your current location, depending on your antenna, and upload it to, say, like FlightAware or Flight Radar, or even set up your own little network of flight recorders. That's another thing that you can do, and this allows you to do that. Another thing you can do is create your own little network of police scanners or public safety scanners, depending on your type of radio system and what you have in your area. If you have an analog system, you might be better off getting a hardware scanner, say like a Whistler 1065 or a Bearcat, Uniden Bearcat, like BCT15. If you really want to spend some money, you could get yourself an SDS 200 or SDS 100, but those are in the near $1,000 mark. It's easier to just get a couple of these, throw them in, and program your stuff. But you can create a little police scanner with that. One thing that I actually have already done is I have created one, a little police scanner. You can see there's two SDRs here. These are not these. These are a different one. But they work specifically with the piece of software that I have in here called SDR Trunk, and I'll do a video on SDR Trunk so you guys can see that. But basically what it does is it picks up the signal from these, one of the antennas, it picks up the control channel, and the other antenna picks up the other transmissions, and it decodes the local system that I have here where I live, and it streams it out to a shoutcast server or icecast server that I have provided to friends and family and, you know, people that I know, as well as Broadcastify and, oh my gosh, the Scanner Radio app. And that's where they pick up the feed from one of these, or a network of these, I should say. It's not just one of them. But that's another thing that you can do with that. We'll go into a video on how I did that later on. We won't talk about that today. The next thing that you can do is you can do what's called POES, or Polar Orbiting Environmental Satellites. So those are things like NOAA 15, NOAA 18, NOAA 19. You can download images off them as they orbit over 500 miles above our heads. As they pass over, you can get line of sight with them and download images directly off of that using Raspberry Pi or various pieces of software. There's a lot. I'll have a tutorial on one method that I recommend that you guys can use to get that. And yeah, I mean, that's another little thing. You really got to have an outdoor antenna with that type of thing. We'll talk more about that in a future video, but if you plan on doing that, or even if you're going to research that, I highly recommend that you do your research. And before you even do anything, get yourself a decent outdoor antenna. And it's got to be outdoor because it's got to be line of sight. Can't be like an attic antenna or anything like that. Some people will say that you can, but I tell you right now, wood does not allow signals to pass as well as everyone thinks it does. So if you really want the best, cleanest, and most crisp image, it's got to be outside. There's other things that you're going to need to do. Like I said, this is a broad scope of things that you can do with a SDR. But yeah, so that's another thing. And the last thing that you can do is actually really, really cool. I have not gotten the opportunity to do it yet, primarily because the hardware to do it is actually so big that in order for me to do it where I currently live, I can't. It's too much. It's too big. The antenna that's needed to put it on my roof, I think it would piss a couple of neighbors off. I generally don't want to piss off the people that I live around, so I've opted not to do it, at least for now. Maybe I can find a friend that's got some land or something that I can set it up, do a couple of tests, and maybe report back. We'll see. I don't know, but that's also possible with that, and that's the GOES, geostationary orbital environmental satellites. So those are really, really cool, and you can look at those as well. And the National Weather Service NOAA has those as well that you guys can take a look at on their website, but you can host them yourselves and actually download. There's a picture on the internet called the Blue Marble, and I'm sure everyone's seen it. If I can, I'll try to post an image on the screen right now so everyone can kind of see it. But there's an image called the Blue Marble, and this Blue Marble image is basically taken from a GOES satellite. So basically you're getting that, but on your local computer, anytime you want. Within, I think it updates every 30 minutes or so. But again, that's not something that we're covering tonight. I'm just talking about the technology. So the question is, how much does all of this cost? Well, this little receiver that I have in my hands is about $18, $19 on Amazon. You can get your hands on it relatively cheap with free shipping if you're a Prime member, and you get it in about 2 to 3 days. I have probably about 15 of these. And then the other ones that you can get your hands on, I don't think I can pull them out of here, but these are about $27, and these are from Nooelec. And I have a good chunk of those also. I actually have an entire array of about 10 of them running a scanner array that I have over here for the local community. So that's just a look at some of the stuff that you guys can do with SDR. So the question on everyone's mind is this hobby for me? Well, you know what? I can't answer that for you, but what I can tell you is it's really, really cool. When I first got involved with this, I didn't expect it to be something that I was going to stick with or be interested in. And we're about a year and a half in, roughly, to me going absolute ham, no pun intended, with these things. You can do so much crazy crap you wouldn't expect to be able to do. Now, you can't transmit. That's very, very important. You can't transmit with these things. You can only listen. But some of the stuff you can listen to is absolutely phenomenal. And again, like I had said, if you're going to get into the hobby, if you're going to be a serious avid SDR user, you need to get your hands on certain things. This is what's called a low noise amplifier. This basically drowns out everything but a specific range of signals. This is actually, I think this is for the Goes. This is called a Sawbird. But you need to get your hands on LNAs and filters, and it gets expensive fast, depending on what you want to do. But I highly recommend it if you're an avid tinkerer, because the amount of stuff that you can do with it, the amount of stuff that you can uncover is really, really, really cool. And I think everyone should experience this at least once. Even if you don't plan on sticking with it, give it a try. Until next time, I'm out of here. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. And you can post your suggestions in the comment, and I will go ahead and do it on a future video. Until next time, have a great one. Bye-bye.